Welcome back. You know, preserving Ozarks history is so very important, and that concept is not lost on the person sitting next to us right now. This is Kaitlyn McConnell of Ozarks Alive. Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks for coming in.
Thank you.
Yeah, and thank you for what you do, preserving this history. It's remarkable, the work you do. Talk about Ozarks Alive. How did it get started?
So Ozarks Alive has been around 6.5 years now. It all began back in 2015. I have always been interested in Ozarks culture and historical preservation, and I just thought I'm not going to wait for someone to give me a job and being able to write and preserve it. I have a background in journalism. I thought I'm just going to start a site where I can write about people and places and history and get to publish it and share it with the world. And so that's sort of how it started, and it's just kind of grown ever since.
What are the kinds of things that have grabbed you that you have put on your site?
You know, it's always a good story. That's the bottom line, right? You know, it sort of just depends on someone who's done something interesting, some piece of history that's really defined us. You know, I think about specific stories, and there's one in particular that really sticks out at me that always kind of resonates as to why I do what I do. And it was about a lady named Theda Porter, who, when I did the story about her, was 88 years old and still running her own restaurant in Squires, Missouri, down in Douglas County. And not only did she run the restaurant, and all that implies, bussed the tables, took the orders, cooked the food, etc., she also made all these homemade pies that she sold. And so the fact that, you know, she wasn't doing this to recreate a tradition, she was just doing what she'd always done, which to me is the essence and the authenticity of why I do what I do, is trying to capture things as they are and how they define us. And so for me, that's always been a story that's really stuck out at me and represents why I like doing all of this work.
And you come by this naturally. Your grandmother got you hooked on this, really, years and years ago. And you first started writing as a teenager?
I did, yeah. So my ties with the Ozarks go back very deep generationally. That my grandmother, her side of the family goes back with me 7 generations in the Ozarks in Webster County, and I actually grew up in the house where she grew up in, so there's some kind of, you know, built-in links there. But it was in high school. I randomly found a book in the library called Walk-In Preacher of the Ozarks, which was written by an itinerant preacher named Guy Howard, and it talked about places I had heard about in the Ozarks that my great-grandparents and my grandmother probably knew of, or at least had a very similar life to the way that people were described in the book. And that got me looking at the Ozarks in a whole new way. And it just got me to going from there.
Now, when you gather your information, do you tell the story, or do you look for people who know or live the stories?
You know, it's a little bit of both. You know, obviously, if something is strictly in the past and historical, and there might not be somebody to talk to, I do all the research myself, and then sometimes write that more from my perspective. But a lot of times I look for someone to represent it. I always would prefer to have someone speak and share that story from their heart and from their experience, and give me the privilege of helping share it from there, but have them as the basis of it.
So you have a brand new website.
Yes.
You've been doing this for years, but you've got a website that just went up and running like within the last week or
Yes,
so.
that's right.
OzarksAlive.com.
Yes.
And if you scroll, there you are. There's definitely some information about you and your history and some of your partners here, which is great. But when you click on stories, you can scroll and scroll and scroll.
Yes, so there's probably around 450 to 500 stories in total that I've done since 2015. So you can get a little down different rabbit holes reading about things, but that's the best part, in my opinion, of the new site, is the archive's much more searchable. So hopefully people can find something they're interested in and are looking for a lot easier.
Have you found some oh my gosh kind of moments in what you do?
Yes, I think every single time almost. It feels like, you know, every time I learn something new, you know, there are definitely other ones that are much more treasure hunts and going down paths that I never expect. And those ones probably take far longer than the segment we have to tell every path and twist and turn. But, you know, I think that ultimately it's always like that. Like I said, it's always finding something new, and that's what inspires me and keeps me going.
And you're open to story ideas. If people can submit ideas to you through the site?
They can. They can either go on the site, the contact information is there, or just emailing me at Kaitlyn, Kaitlyn, at OzarksAlive.com.
Wow. Thank you for the work you do. We need to get you back on here to let us know what projects you're working on. I know you make appearances and whatnot. And maybe just tell a few stories. Anyway, Kaitlyn McConnell, again, the website is OzarksAlive.com. Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys.
All right. Up next, turning back